Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, if your brand is getting stale, you're going to want to watch this next episode. You're going to learn how to cleverly disrupt your industry. Just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I'm in marketing, and so I love segments about branding and marketing, and I love to interview people who are 10 times smarter than I am, and the young lady who's in my studio right now is just such a person. Tiffany Wilburn is in the studio. She's a fractional CMO, and she heads up my favorite name for a company ever, Clever Disruption. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for inviting me, Jeff.
All right, well, first, the origin of the name, Clever Disruption. I can't think of a better name for a branding company.
Thank you. It was the brainchild of my 10-year-old son and myself, thinking through how can we articulate the work that mommy does in a fun and compelling way. And so he mentioned that, well, you're so funny, you are very witty. I love something that describes that about you. And what you do is disrupting business models and disrupting industries. And so he and I, after a lot of discussion and back and forth, came up with Clever Disruption.
Absolutely brilliant. Let's talk about your background. How did you get into branding?
So I've actually been working in brand marketing for 20 years. I have primarily been working in the food and beverage industry for that 20 years. And although I've touched all aspects of marketing, I've primarily focused on 3 areas of marketing. Brand marketing, which really gets to what your brand stands for in the hearts and minds of consumers when you're not in the room. Product innovation and product development, and merchandising.
Wow, incredible. Let's go ahead and pull up her website. And as we scroll down the website, I want you to talk about the kinds of companies you like to work with.
So I love working with food and beverage businesses, one that are a consumer product good, so an item that a customer can purchase off of a grocery shelf or specialty shop. The second type of business that I really enjoy working with are distilleries. I've spent quite a good amount of my career working in the spirits industry. Third, I work with restaurants. I, at one point, was the interim CMO at TGI Fridays here in Dallas.
Wow.
And fourth, I love working with regional franchise chains and franchise owners.
And tell us the Nestle story.
So part of my career, part of the 20-year career, was working for Nestle. I worked on the brand management side, so managing Hot Pockets, which was their second largest frozen food brand just behind DiGiorno. Additionally, I worked on brands like California Pizza Kitchen, Outsider Pizza Company, and then I also did global innovation optimization work for Nestle Waters and Nestle Purina.
Wow, what a great brand to work with. You're also very good about giving back to the community, and you have a very robust speaking career. We're going to show some video of you speaking at UTD, and why don't you tell us a little bit about this particular speech?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really love and covet having the opportunity to give back to the community. In this instance, I was speaking to a class of seniors at UTD who were studying entrepreneurship. They specifically wanted to get a better understanding, a real-world understanding of how they might disrupt industries that were emerging or existing but had stagnated in their growth. And so my role there was to inspire them, to give them feedback on how things really happen versus in theory and in practice. And those opportunities are something that I really enjoy doing because it's not about me, it's about the next generation.
Tell us one of your favorite success stories.
I love talking about Southern Comfort. It was a brand that had not been successful for quite a long time, probably 5 years declining. And the opportunity really was to increase U.S. household penetration, so bringing more consumers into the portfolio. There was a very loyal base of consumers who loved the brand, but there weren't new consumers coming in. And so the opportunity really was to look at who the strategic growth consumer might be, then consider what product innovation we could consider that would appeal to that new consumer without alienating the existing consumer. And third, look at what creative strategy we might deploy that put the brand in a different light. And so specifically, we pulled the brand out of the darkness of the bar and really introduced the brand into the light of outside. And so with those three tactics, or those three strategic approaches, adjusting the target consumer, product innovation, and creative strategy, we increased our U.S. household penetration 33%.
Wow.
And we increased our 2-year CAGR, or category average growth, 11.5%.
Wow, those numbers are astronomical. I can't believe that. Let's talk about branding, because when you're sitting down with a brand for the first time, some people think it's a logo, some people think it's a slogan. When you approach a brand, how do you describe what you're about to do?
So brand marketing is, as you mentioned, not a logo, it's not a mark, it's not a collection of ownable brand properties or assets. A brand is what your business or your mark stands for in the hearts and minds of consumers when you're not in the room. It really gets at your reputation. The business or the product or service that you offer is supported by that reputation.
Yeah, and brands are sometimes going up, going down, going sideways, or worse, nobody's thinking about them. Right. So how often should a brand reach out to somebody like you to get like a second opinion?
Yeah, I would say anytime there's a change in their playing field, so the industry or the category that they're operating in, it's a good opportunity to take a look at your brand. If you have new competitors that have entered the market, that's a good opportunity to take a look at your brand. Or if there's larger macro consumer trends that might be impacting how the consumers are appealing or interested in your business, that's another opportunity to take a look.
Yeah, and you have a new generation of consumers, so what might have been cool to the boomer is no longer cool to the Gen Z.
Exactly.
So you should always be working on your brand. You're also a very popular guest of podcasts. Let's go ahead and show some video of you on a podcast. I think you have the heart of a teacher, don't you, Tiffany?
I guess I do. You know, my sister's a second grade teacher,
really?
So maybe it does run in the family.
So on this particular show, I'm assuming you're talking about the same kinds of things we're talking about here?
Correct. We talked about the case study on Southern Comfort. We talked about a case study with Fresh Direct. And a product innovation that we launched there. Fresh Direct, for context, is a premium online grocer in New York.
Yes.
The opportunity at hand was to create a disruptive, commodity-based product innovation, and so that program resulted in a new farmers pullet egg program. So that's what we were discussing, William Harris and I.
What are some brands that you admire?
There's so many. In the food and beverage industry, I think some of the larger global brands that come from Nestle are I admire a lot. I think there's also, on the smaller or mid-sized scale, the restaurant and hospitality brands that were adjacent to the TGI Friday brand that I managed. Things like the work Chili's has been doing recently is very admirable. I also really do admire some of the brand work that I've seen from Southwest. I think that's very outside of my industry, but again, they really talk to the consumer with an emotional end benefit in mind, and I resonate with that.
Yeah, absolutely. She's also very witty. I found a video that you made, I think it was on Instagram, that I absolutely love. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Shake it till it's sing. That's right. Mr. Mo's on the beat. That's right. Put it down for the street. That's right. Pass that Dutch. 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 Pass the Dutch, baby.
You're so clever. I guess you don't play poker?
No, I'm a very transparent, authentic individual. You know what you are getting when you talk to me. And when I have the opportunity to demonstrate it, my face always gives it away. So.
And when people are hiring somebody like you, they're hiring you to be a truth teller. They don't want
Correct.
you to be a yes woman to tell them everything they're doing is brilliant. they really need a mirror, an objective mirror to their brand strategy.
That's right. And truth teller I am. So.
Well, we got about 2 minutes left, so look into that camera on the left and talk to the CEO or CMO who is thinking, I might need to engage Tiffany. What does that look like?
Absolutely. Well, if you are in the food and beverage industry, and as I mentioned earlier, if you're specifically a consumer product good, a distillery, a restaurant, or a regional franchise brand owner, and you have a brand marketing challenge, a product innovation hurdle to overcome, or even a merchandising task that needs to be tackled, you should definitely reach out and chat with me.
Outstanding. This went by so fast. We're going to have you back again. We're going to end with her website, which is, of course, cleverdisruption.com, the great Tiffany Wilburn. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeff.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.